Is your emotional state sabotaging your success? Discover how mastering your emotions can give you the power to control any situation and build an unshakable frame, starting today. We're going live.
No. We'll do it live.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
Oh, I tricked you again. We are not live today. This is a pre-record. Nurse Chicken and I are probably in Phoenix right now, and she's getting ready for her last fitness competition of the year. So couldn't be live. Had to pre-record this thing. You know what? I just realized that my name isn't up here. Where's this go? There we go. Boop. Yes, we're on mission 10 still. Mission 10. Still looking for 10 guys. Look, I got some questions for you guys, all right? Have you ever felt like your emotions are controlling you rather than the other way around? What if I told you that learning to master your emotions is the key to building an unshakable mindset and dominating every aspect of your life? In today's episode, we're diving into how emotional regulation directly impacts your frame and how you can take control starting now. Throughout this episode, you'll discover the powerful connection between emotional intelligence and frame. We'll break down the tools and techniques you can use to regulate your emotions, maintain a resilient mindset, and navigate life's challenges without losing your cool. You'll also learn how beliefs and values shape your frame and how changing them can transform your entire outlook. Imagine staying calm and collected no matter what life throws at you. Picture yourself leading with clarity, confidence, and control, even in stressful situations. By mastering emotional regulation, you can elevate your frame and experience more stability. You can have more growth, and you can have more success in every area of your life. So stay tuned, because you're about to discover the strategies that will allow you to manage your emotions, strengthen your frame, and become the most resilient version of yourself. But before we get into all that, do subscribe, and hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, no matter what. Even if I'm traveling, I at least put out a pre-recorded episode like I am today. This is a pre-recorded live, so the chat is up. If you guys are watching during the live stream of this recording, sound off in the chat, okay? That helps boost us in the algorithms. Plus, you guys can ask questions and talk amongst yourself and maybe bounce some ideas around. That's always fun to do. All right. And then you guys can send super chats during these pre-records. I just can't bring them up on the screen. But if you do send a super chat, you want to support the show, I will give you a shout out on social media, because really a lot of the times you guys have your questions and you're paying to get them answered, that, or you're just paying to get some recognition. Either way, I'll make sure to do that. So if you have a question, you can send it as a super chat and I'll post the answer on social media. Okay. And then also do consider becoming a YouTube member or a Spotify subscriber. If you prefer to listen to the audio version, being a Spotify subscriber might be best for you. You get access to all the older archived episodes. All these episodes are only free for the first 2 weeks. And then after that, they go into members only mode or subscription only mode on Spotify. And I have 4 years worth of actionable advice, actionable information that will help you level up and get better with women. All right. So if you want access to that, it's less than a cup of coffee. Okay. Per month, it's only $2.99. That's like 10 cents a day. Let me play a funny little commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic at hand today. Every single hour, men struggle in silence. Men who are facing rejection, confusion, and the pain of feeling lost in relationships. Thousands of men have found the support they needed, but for many others, help comes too late. Hi, I'm Paul Bauer. Will you be a supporter for men in need? Every day, men like you face challenges of dating, holding frame, and breaking free from nice guy syndrome. But you don't have to face these struggles alone. For just $2.99 a month, that's only 10 cents a day, you can join my YouTube membership or become a Spotify subscriber, and you can help keep this podcast alive. Your support ensures that I can continue to create content that helps men just like you. I can continue to help men overcome these challenges. By joining now, you're not just getting access to all older archived episodes. You're helping me keep this mission going. Together, we can reach more men who need help, guidance, and support. Right now, there's a man who needs you, and your membership says, I'm here to help. Please join today. Your support is making a difference. It is making a difference. And guys, in order to join the membership, if you're watching on YouTube, there is a join button right below this video on YouTube. Okay. All right. So what we're doing, guys, this is Frame Friday, and what we've been doing for the last couple of weeks and what we're going to be doing over the next several weeks is we're going to be going through my good friend Rafe Deantor's latest book, The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Power Frame Identity. It's a relatively short book, but it's really good. If you've read Ryan Stone's book on frame, this is an excellent compendium to that, right? I highly recommend reading both books, but this one's really good. It's also very short. So if you have the attention span of a gnat, this one's good for you, right? It's not terribly long. So we're on chapter 3 this week, and chapter 3 is on frame and emotional regulation, which is paramount because a big part of frame is being able to control your emotions, right? Not suppress your emotions, but control your emotions. So one thing that I've been doing a lot lately is I've been hanging out in different Facebook groups when it comes to dead bedrooms and marriage problems and relationship problems. And I had this guy where I made a post basically talking about women's hypergamy and using it to your advantage, and how the reason why you're in a dead bedroom is because your girl basically stopped seeing you as her best hypergamous option, right? She's lost attraction to you. And a lot of times that's because guys get complacent in relationships. Everything turns into a routine. They stop being attractive. They stop trying to take care of themselves. They stop trying to seduce her, like all that kind of stuff, right? There's all that kind of stuff happens when you're in a long-term relationship and you just let routine take over and you stop trying to be her lover and you start being her roommate, right? Well, so I make this post and this guy's like, I've tried everything and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, what have you tried? Like, what are you talking about? And he blasts back at me getting pissed. He's like, don't psychoanalyze me. I've tried working on myself and da-da-da-da-da. And every time I try to do that, she takes it as a threat. She yells at me. And I'm like, your reaction to this post tells me everything I need to know. I'm just asking clarifying questions, and you're you're reacting with an emotional response, and you're just letting your emotions take control. That's exactly why you're in the position you're in, buddy. And that's why you haven't worked on yourself. And that's how I could tell someone hasn't worked on themselves, right? So this is going to help you out today, right? So we're going to go through chapter 3. So the first concept, and this is how I'm doing it, I'm breaking it down into the top 10 concepts of every chapter because I'm not going to read it to you. I want you to get this book, okay? But the first concept is beliefs, values, and frame development. So these are your building blocks, right? So our beliefs and values form the foundation of our frame, and they influence how we interpret our responses. So some of your beliefs and values, a lot of that's ingrained in your subconscious as a part of your paradigm, as a part of your upbringing, right? So your parents instill a lot of different values in you. That's why a lot of you guys might be conservative, or a lot of you guys might be a little more left-leaning. It's because oftentimes your parents were that way and they instilled those types of values in you, right? Not saying either one's better, right? I have my own opinions, but a lot of those types of values are from our upbringing and then our past experiences and stuff like that. And that sort of shapes how we see the world, right? And there's it's also shaped through social environments. So not just your parents, but that's a big part of it, but also the media that you consume on a daily basis. That shapes how you view things. Um, your self-talk, how you talk to yourself. A lot of people have ridiculous self-talk. They have ridiculously bad self-talk, and it's not helpful, right? It holds them back. And your self-talk can either strengthen or weaken our frame. Now, this is something that my business coach pointed out on a lecture the other day that I was listening to. One of the things that we're trying to do is the goal is to get to make 90K in 90 days. And I've been telling myself, man, I've never been able to do that before. I've never been able to do that before. Now, at its surface, that's a true statement. And it doesn't necessarily sound negative, but by constantly reinforcing that, that is negative self-talk that's holding me back. Because I'm basically reinforcing the idea that I've never been able to do it before, and so therefore I can't. It's just another way of saying I can't do this. And so I didn't realize it until they pointed it out, and I was like, "Oh man, I've got to stop that. I've got to stop saying I've never done this before. And I got to start saying I can do this. I could do this." And just eliminate what's not helpful, right? But the thing is our self-talk, how we say things to ourselves, how we express ideas to ourselves, it works the same way as an affirmation does. That repetition and saying it over and over again gets programmed into our subconscious mind, and that causes a deep-seated belief, and that impacts how we act. And so once you catch yourself doing that negative stuff, you gotta stop it and you gotta turn it around and try to make change it into a positive. And the more you repeat the positive stuff, the more that gets ingrained in your subconscious, and that changes your actions in a positive way that will lead you forward. Do you see? And then he talks about turning beliefs into values, right? So when beliefs are consistently reinforced, they solidify into core values that guide behavior and decision making. You know, you start thinking what's important to you based on past experiences and beliefs, and that now what's becoming important to you is now a part of your value system. You understand? The next concept here is really cool. This is more of a neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP type thing, but presuppositional phrasing and belief formation. Okay, so our internal dialogue, basically our self-talk, the way we phrase thoughts internally through presuppositional phrasing can shape self-belief. So what's presuppositional phrasing? Let's break that word down. It's when you presuppose something. It's when you have a belief about something, even if you don't have any evidence of it, right? So a good example of negative presupposition when it comes to relationships is maybe you have a belief that I always mess up relationships. How many of you have that belief, right? Every relationship you've had in the past has failed. And so you believe that you always mess up relationships. That's a negative presupposition. Okay. So a more positive presupposition would be to say, or to have this belief that I always look for ways, I always look for ways to improve and strengthen my relationships. That's a positive presupposition about relationships that could actually help you in relationships. Because what happens is, when you have these negative presuppositions, or even positive ones, but most of you guys, your problem's the negative presuppositions. When you have these negative presuppositions, it creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you are basically stating that you believe this negative thing that will cause you to act in a certain way to cause you to mess up a relationship. So if you have the presupposition of I always mess up relationships, you're going to act in a way that will cause you to mess up your relationships, right? You will find a way to self-sabotage. Okay. But if you change that into I always look for ways to improve and strengthen my relationships, the same thing happens, but in a positive way, right? You're going to start acting in a way that'll cause that to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. And you are going to start strengthening and improving your relationships, right? So we got positive versus negative framing, right? So consistent exposure to empowering phrases leads to stronger self-efficacy, while negative phrasing creates self-doubt, right? So like we said here, right? If you say, I'm always looking for ways to improve and strengthen my relationships, that's going to lead to stronger self-efficacy, okay? But if you're always like, I always mess up relationships, that's going to create self-doubt about even being in the relationship. You're going to expect her to treat you poorly. You're going to expect her to leave. And so you're just going to act in a way like that's going to make her want to leave, right? So you got to reframe that sort of thing. If you find yourself talking or having these negative presuppositions, you catch that. All this stuff comes to awareness, right? When you catch that, you got to reframe that into a more positive idea, okay? And then we have external influence. So our social circles heavily influence belief development, affecting strength and the direction of our frame. This is one of the reasons why I highly encourage you guys to get into the beer club. Okay. This is why I highly encourage you guys to get into the beer club, because you are the product of the people you hang around with the most. And if you're hanging around with a bunch of fucking losers who don't know how to manage relationships, that don't have any idea of red pill concepts, they don't have any idea of attraction, maybe you're hanging out at church and it's a bunch of blue pilled Bible thumpers, that's not going to help you with your relationship, because they're just going to reinforce negative things that don't work in relationships, and you're going to just keep repeating the same bad patterns. So you need to get in a better group of people. So get in the beer club and get with guys who are constantly working on themselves. They're constantly working to level up themselves. They're working on their physical, mental, and spiritual health in there. Okay. We have lots of guys in there that are trying to level up in all areas of your life. And that's how you start using hypergamy to your advantage. When you become a guy that's constantly working on himself, women have no choice but to look at you as the best possible option for them. Because like, this guy is relentless. He will not stop improving himself. Every time I think he's reached his pinnacle, he keeps going. Right. Like that kind of stuff improves relationships. So you need to start hanging out with better people. Like I said, I've been hanging around a lot lately in some Facebook groups where it's like dead bedroom groups and stuff like that. It's all a bunch of people and they're just commiserating and not leveling up. They're not even offering solutions. They're all just like, they're all just whining and complaining and doing absolutely nothing to improve their situation. Right. But they also are hanging around with a bunch of people that have no idea how to manage relationships. You see what I'm saying? You got to hang out with better people. All right, guys, while we're on a roll here, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. I've been talking about relationships a lot lately. If your relationship is on the decline, this is why. Okay. Women have this crazy program built into their DNA where they will test men. They're constantly testing men to see if he's the best possible option for them. Okay. So they'll do these little things. We like to call them frame checks or congruency tests or shit tests. We're past the 8-minute mark. I can say that. And guys have no idea how to handle that kind of stuff. Right. So as you start failing these shit tests, she starts doing other little things to you that slowly supplicates you, right? Oh, honey, I need you to do the dishes more. Honey, I need you to, take out the trash more, and maybe I'll bang you. And you're like, yeah, whatever, to get that pussy, right? And next thing you know, you have completely turned over the keys of the car, and she's driving now. And once she's in the driver's seat, she'll never trust you to drive again. Okay. We call this the betatization process. It's a 5-stage process. And it's built into her evolutionary psychology. She has no idea she's doing it. And most of you guys have no idea how to deal with this. And so you're reacting in a way that's leading to dead bedrooms and negative outcomes in your relationships. And you're going to end up broken up, divorced, or worse. You're going to end up sleeping in separate bedrooms and basically having glorified roommates, right? don't allow yourself to do that. Okay. Go to list.comeonmanpod.com, read my free ebook. It's called She's Made You Weak. It'll explain this process and what you can do about it. Okay. So get that. That's free. And then I do have real books, like full-size books available. We have Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18. And then my latest book, The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence Psychology Paradigm. It pairs very well with the book we're going over today, The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence Power Frame Identity, which, this is a book series. We're all writing books as a part of RP Thor's Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence book series. So you can get that at books.comeonmanpod.com. The audio version is available for both books. So go to books.comeonmanpod.com. You can get all the different versions, the Kindle, hardcover, paperback, and even now the Audible edition of both books. So check that out. I don't want to take away from Wraith's book today. So let me play a commercial for Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18, which is my first book. And then we will get back to the topic at hand today.
Ever feel like life is slipping by while you're stuck in the same old routine? You see others thriving, great relationships, successful careers, real freedom, and you wonder, what am I missing? Deep down, you know you're capable of more, but something's holding you back. Whether it's your mindset, habits, or relationships, you're stuck in a cycle that's hard to break. What if the change you need isn't about working harder, but working smarter? Reprogramming your mindset, mastering key habits, and building success in every area of life. Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18 is your guide to unlocking the life you've always wanted. Inside, you'll find practical, proven steps to upgrade your mindset, strengthen your relationships, and achieve financial freedom. This isn't just another book. It's your roadmap to personal growth and success. Whether you're looking to improve your career, relationships, or mindset, this book will help you take control of your future. Start your transformation today. Grab your copy of Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18 and take the first step toward a life filled with purpose and success. Don't wait. Your future is waiting.
Yes, don't wait. Okay, so let's continue with chapter 3 of Wraith's book today. Okay, so the next concept is changing beliefs to strengthen frame. So identifying limiting beliefs, that's the first key, right? So self-reflection helps recognize negative beliefs that weaken the frame. And I've been using this as a great example lately because it's something I've been experiencing, but just working with my business coach, learning how to handle sales better, learning how to talk to people in a more efficient way, learning how to make high ticket offers has my self-limiting beliefs screaming at me. Okay. That's one of the biggest things that guys are unaware of is that they don't even know they have self-limiting beliefs. But one of the ways to identify them is by listening to what's going on in your head when you step outside your comfort zone. When you step outside that comfort zone and your brain's screaming at you like, you can't do this. Oh, you shouldn't even try this. Oh, this is too risky. That's a self-limiting belief right there. And when you have that inclination to not do what you need to do to step back into your comfort zone so that you feel safe, that's when you know you got to push forward. You're like, no, I got to put my head down and just keep pushing forward because I have to challenge this, right? And challenging self-limiting beliefs is the best way to overcome them, right? So challenging and reframing. So use cognitive restructuring to replace limiting beliefs with positive, growth-oriented ones. So let's see here. How's a good way of cognitive restructuring? Oh, a great way of doing this. So one of the activities that my business coach is having all of us do when it comes to making 90K in 90 days is he's having us chunk that down into simple concepts, right? He's like, look, if you're offering a solution that's $5,000 for your program, some of these guys are charging like $25,000 for their whatever their programs are. It's blowing my mind. I'm like, wow, okay, fascinating. People are paying for that kind of stuff, right? But let's say your solution's only $5,000. Okay, solution's $5,000. He's like, 90K in 90 days. That's 2 sales a month. You only have to close 2 people, or not two a month, 2 a week. You only have to close 2 people a week. That's it. Right? Well, that doesn't sound too bad, right? Maybe you talk to a dozen people, and maybe you talk to a dozen people, and then maybe you get 6 of them on a breakthrough call, and then out of those 6 people, you get 2 that sign up for the program. Well, there you did that. That's very doable. Right? It's very doable. So it's like, oh, okay, well, if I chunk that down, then yeah, maybe it doesn't seem like this astronomical fucking moon goal. And plus you can see all around, you see people that do this for a living all the time, right? Look at John MLD. John MLD makes tons of money helping men out, right? So it's like, okay, so let me reframe this. Maybe, another thing that they had us do is had us realize that they're like, other people in your niche are already doing this. They're already doing this, and they don't care as much as you. And that blew my mind. Just that sort of reframing of this idea. There's other people already doing this, and they don't care as much as you. They don't know as much as you. It's like, oh, okay, no, that puts things in a different perspective. That's really what reframing is, right? And then positive influences, right? So surrounding oneself with positive people and environments reinforces new empowering values. So just like I said, I recommend that you guys, if you're having relationship issues, get in the beer club, because it's a group of other like-minded guys that are leveling themselves up, and that by osmosis will help you level up, right? But on top of that, one of the things that I'm doing is I got into this group with my coach because it's other people that are already doing this stuff. And so I'm trying to get that osmosis from them. Like, how are you guys doing this? Like, what's your mindset like? And I'm trying to get that mindset, right? So positive influences, like being a part of groups of people who are already on the path and having success on the path that you want to go on. That's one of the best ways that you can do that. Okay. The next concept here is emotional control and its impact on frame. Okay, this is huge. This is huge when it comes to this space, because most guys, they react purely on emotion. Okay, now one thing the legendary George Bruno said to me on a comment this last Saturday. He said, all of our reactions are emotion based. All of them are, right? So every one of your reactions are emotion based. However, before you react, if you can just take a couple of seconds to think about what you're going to say, that will force you to not just blurt out whatever comes to your mind emotionally, right? It actually forces you to think about it, and then you can respond to it in a more rational way. Okay. But you almost always have an emotional reaction, like something's bubbling up there, right? Thank you, George. If you're watching. And so, yeah, so a strong frame allows for rational interpretation of emotions, turning challenges into growth opportunities. So if you just take like 3 seconds, it really doesn't take very much. It's just like, you want your gut instinct is to emotionally blast whoever, right? Like I said, hanging out in these Facebook groups, like this guy just like word vomited on me, right? It's like, that guy has no emotional regulation. Okay. So, but if he just took a step back, thought about what he was going to say for a second, why am I feeling this way? Why am I getting all this tension? It's like your fight or flight response reacting to something, right? If you just take a minute to just rationally evaluate what's coming up, why you're feeling that way, and think about it like, okay, does it make sense to blast back at this person? Is this person really challenging me, or is he asking clarifying questions, right? Like, I'm asking clarifying questions in this group. I'm not attacking anybody. Okay. I'm not judging anybody. Emotional regulation enhances frame. So managing emotions effectively strengthens the stability and resilience of your frame. What you'll find is that things that used to trigger you, things that you used to respond negatively to, once you practice some of these techniques that Wraith lays out in his book, those types of things stop triggering you as much. You stop getting so upset by certain things. That's one of the things, the best things about learning how to handle women's shit tests, right? Is women's shit tests stop being a trigger. It ends up being like funny. It's almost like cute that they do it. And so just having a plan and working on this kind of stuff causes things to not be as bad as you used to think they were. You understand? So positive versus negative reinforcement. So positive emotional states reinforce a strong frame, while unchecked negative emotions can destabilize it. I mean, and that's the thing too, is we have a negativity bias in our brains. Like our brains almost want to wallow in self-pity, and it's almost like we feel better when we're miserable. Okay. So it's so easy to keep your negative emotions unchecked and then just spiral downwards. It's super easy to do that. It's hard to catch yourself in that state and try to snap out of it and then try to focus on the positive. Okay. But the more you do that, it's just like anything else, right? The more you go to the gym, the easier it becomes to lift heavier weights. And so the more heavier weights you can lift, it's the same thing. The more you refocus those negative thoughts into a positive way, the easier it becomes later, right? And then the greater the challenges that you can deal with. Okay. It's fascinating. All right, guys, I mentioned before, but I am on a mission. I am on a mission right now. I'm on a mission. I'm calling it Mission 10. I'm trying to find 10 guys before the end of the year that want help fixing a broken relationship. They know deep down that this relationship, it deserves to be fixed, right? It deserves to be fixed. They don't want it to be this way, but they feel helpless. They feel lonely. They feel resentment because their wife keeps rejecting them all the time. They feel hurt. They feel disrespected, but deep down, they love their wife still. Deep down, she's still their soulmate. Okay. Now, we can argue about whether there's anything, if there's any such thing as a soulmate, right? But they feel like she's my soulmate. I don't want to give up on her. Okay. Basically, they don't have a lot of quit in them. But they've exhausted all of their known options. And that's because they've been getting a lot of bad advice. Maybe they're, reading the love languages, and they're trying to fix things by doing covert contract type stuff like the love languages says to do, right? All that, most relationship books out there are garbage. They're absolute garbage. And so these guys, they think that they've tried everything, but they keep doing the same things over and over again. And that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. The real definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, knowing that there's a better way. Okay. The better way is my way. The better way is the red pill way, the red pill praxeological way. Men for over 20 years have been swapping notes on what works and what doesn't. And so we know what works. Okay. And we know that the blue pill books out there on relationships don't work. We know that talking to your wife more isn't going to get her in bed. Okay. Unless you're using mode 1 seduction, which that's not what they teach at marriage counseling, is it? So I'm looking for 10 men that want to try something different that will get them in a loving, caring relationship where their girl is fucking them again. Okay. I'm looking for 10 guys like that. If that's you, book a call with me today. Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. That'll redirect you to my Calendly. Put some time on my calendar. Let's have a chat. Okay. It's free. You got nothing to lose. If you are not that guy, but you know someone, we all know someone like that. Okay. Either send them my Calendly link and have them book a call with me. But if they're not ready for that yet, just send them to the podcast. Okay. Just tell them, hey man, tune into this podcast. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay. The information on this podcast is extremely valuable to men. I know lots of guys that just tuning into the podcast every week has turned their relationships around. Okay. So get them at least on the podcast. And if they want more help, have them book a call with me. It's free. Okay. Let's do that. We're trying to help 10 men before the end of the year. All right, guys. The next concept is techniques for regulating emotions. So we have cognitive reappraisal. So this is basically reframing, right? So reframe situations to see challenges as opportunities rather than threats. So a great way to look at women's shit tests, right? Because a lot of guys, especially in the MGTOW and black pill communities, they look at women's shit tests like it's disrespect. Okay. Now there's a difference between your typical shit test and blatant disrespect. Typically, if you, let's say you've been married for 15 years and your wife is just straight up disrespecting you, that means that you've been consistently failing shit tests for a long time. And now she just has no respect for you anymore. Okay. So that's a difference. But early on in the relationship, usually the way women act when they're testing your frame and testing your congruency is it's playful little barbs, like playful little jabs at you. And the way you handle them determines how attractive she's going to see you. Okay. And so if you look at her shit test like an opportunity, to show to show her that you're the best fucking possible option that she has, right? That's a more positive reframe of a shit test than looking at like, oh, she's disrespecting me, fuck her, right? Like, because that's adversarial. Okay, she's not trying to be adversarial. Understand? She just wants to make sure that you're the strong masculine man that she thinks that you are. And if you react in a negative way, she's gonna go, nope, he's not it. He's not the dude. You're not that guy, pal. So the next one is physical techniques. So use deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, and visualization to calm emotional responses. So now this is good. Like if you are really fired up, and women have, especially wives, they have the ability to just really push our buttons and really, they know exactly where to dig, right? Because they've been around us so long, and you've probably been emotionally vulnerable with her, and now she knows exactly where to get you, right? So a lot of times we get really fucking pissed, and the best thing to do in a situation like that is not to stay in that situation. Okay, because if you stay in that situation, you're going to say things that you're going to regret. You're going to do things that you're going to regret. It's best to go, you know what, from a position of leadership, you say, honey, we're not going to do this right now. Okay. I need some time to calm down. I'm going to leave. I will come back in an hour or two when I've had time to get my head right. And we're going to discuss this when we're both calm. Okay. But we're not dealing with this right now. And then you fucking leave. Okay. You fucking leave. All right. Then, you can go to the gym. You can do this in your car, whatever. Like, you just need to get away from her. You need to get some space. Okay. But just breathe. Just concentrate on your breathing. Don't concentrate on your emotions so much. Just feel the emotions, but let them come up without judgment, but just focus on your breathing. Deep breaths. Okay. These are some things that you can do. All right. Progressive muscle relaxation. So a lot of times when we're in that state of anger, like we are tense, like we are ready to fight. Right? Like our bodies are all tensed up. So you need to focus on just trying to let that go. Right? And so you can just do it like one arm at a time. Just next arm, just try to focus on just letting the tension go out of each part of your body. Right? And then visualization is always really good. Okay. Try to imagine just a more calm situation. Okay. The more you visualize, but just put yourself mentally in a more calm, tranquil situation will help you calm down too. Okay. And then positive self-talk, right? So constantly practicing positive inner dialogue helps maintain resilient frame. We've talked about that before, right? If you're constantly beating yourself up, constantly talking shit to yourself, constantly saying bad things, constantly self-deprecating, all that kind of stuff is bad. It gets ingrained in your subconscious mind and it causes you to act in negative ways. So you need to catch yourself from doing that and reframe that kind of stuff to more positive self-talk, stuff that boosts you up, right? All right, the next concept is mindfulness and self-awareness for frame management. And this is the key to everything. Because most of the time we don't know what we don't know. Like, we just sort of go through life and we're just acting on instinct and acting on our paradigms, acting on these. 95% of what we do is subconscious, right? So the key is to bring those subconscious things to our conscious so that we can become aware of them. And there's different ways of doing it, journaling, all that kind of stuff, right? But staying present, forcing yourself into the present. So mindfulness helps manage emotional responses by staying grounded in the present moment without judgment. And that's hard to do, right? A lot of us are, we have a lot of regrets from our past. That causes depression. We're thinking about the future or what might happen. And we're thinking about all this doom and gloom stuff that causes anxiety. But being in the present moment will help unfuck all that kind of stuff, because the past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. Okay. The past is gone. There's nothing you can do to change it. Okay. So there's no sense worrying about it. You can learn from it, but there's no sense worrying about it. Right. And then the future hasn't even happened yet. You don't even know what's going to happen. The stuff that you're worried about right now might not even happen. Okay. So force yourself back into the present moment. Okay. A great way of doing that is gratitude practice. Right. Forcing yourself to just think about what you're grateful for right now, like in the present moment. And it can be as simple as, I'm grateful that I can afford to have clothes on my back. I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I have internet access so I can listen to Paul's show. Okay. Anything that forces you in the present moment. Okay. And then recognizing patterns. So self-awareness allows you to understand emotional triggers and adjust your frame accordingly. This is where journaling can really help, right? If you keep a daily journal, that really helps you recognize those patterns, okay? Because if you force yourself for 15 minutes a day, just write down what happened in the day, how you reacted to certain things, what you could have learned about it. It forces you to evaluate what's going on in your head. It's actually a really great tool. It's also good to get in groups. I'm going to mention Beer Club again. It's good to get in the Beer Club group and just bounce ideas and tell guys what's going on with you. Because sometimes other guys can point out things that you didn't even think about before. Like I said before, I never even thought about thinking, constantly telling myself, oh, I've never been able to do the 90K in 90 days before. I've never been able to do that. I never realized that was negative self-talk until my new group pointed that out. That kind of stuff is helpful. So recognizing patterns. Then we have mindfulness practices. So there's different mindfulness practices. You have classic meditation, journaling. I mentioned that already. Reflective exercises enhance emotional regulation and frame stability. It's just good to work on getting your mind right. I'm a big fan of affirmations. I talk about affirmations in my book, in this book. I even talk about it in my first book too. This is the old cover, by the way. Can't get that anymore unless you get an autographed version. You can hit me up with that. You can DM me. I can get you an autographed version of that. Okay, so impact of emotional states on frame. So positive emotions strengthen frame. We've talked about that. So joy and contentment support a stable and optimistic frame. Joy and contentment. So really trying to stay in that positive vibration is so crucial. Okay. Negative emotions really challenge your frame a lot. Okay. It creates a lot of self-doubt. If you're just constantly having these negative feelings and negative thoughts, it's just constantly whittling away at your frame. Right. So anxiety and anger can undermine the frame, causing pessimistic or reactive responses. And emotional resilience. So building emotional resilience helps keep the frame intact during emotional upheavals. Again, there's different techniques talked about in this chapter. We talked about some of these already, right? Like the deep breathing, the progressive muscle relaxation, getting away from the problem. Okay. Now it's important. I didn't understand this when I was married, right? I didn't understand this, but it's important to let your girl know that you're not stonewalling her. Okay. It's important to let her know this, because women are emotional. They can't think clearly. They don't think rationally. Okay. Especially when they're all pissed off and in their emotions, they are just thinking like women. Okay. They're using their women monkey brains. And so if you go, we're not dealing with this right now, and then you leave, she feels like you're shutting her down and stonewalling her. Okay. That's not going to be helpful. So my ex-wife used to say this. I used to think it was the dumbest thing ever. Right. But she used to say, cause I'd be like, I'm not dealing with this right now. And I would leave. And she would be like, when you do that, I think that you hate me and that you don't love me and that you're going to, you're basically going to leave me forever. Right. Like women literally have this thought, right? And you're like, no, I'm trying to calm down so I don't fucking rip your head off because you're being a bitch right now. Right. They don't think that way. So it's important and it's hard to do, man, because it almost feels like you're losing, right? But you're not losing. You're doing this from a position of leadership. You're saying, hey, look, this conversation is going in a way that neither of us want to go down. Okay. It's going down a road we don't want to go down. I need some time to calm down, or I'm going to say some things I'm going to regret. So I'm going to leave for about an hour, get my head right. I'm going to come back and talk to you with some clarity. Okay. And then just leave. Right. But it's important to do that sort of thing. Okay. It's important to let her know that that's what's going on. Like you're telling her, you're not asking her, you're telling her. Okay. This isn't happening. I need some time. We will come back and address this. Okay. Because that's another thing too, is women think that you're shutting them down and that you're never going to address the problem. Like let them know, no, we are going to address this, but I need to go and get my mind clear, or I'm going to say some things that I regret. I will be back in an hour, and then leave. Right. And then when you come back after you've had some time to chill out, come back and now you can talk to her rationally without deering, and you can use the Luca approach, right? The listen, understand, clarity, action. I learned that from Paul Benjamin. Phenomenal communication method from a position of leadership. Okay. Let's see here. So strategies for maintaining frame during emotional upheaval. So we talked a little bit about that. Grounding technique. So use mindfulness exercises or physical activities to stay connected to the present moment during stress. Luca, like if you're fighting with your wife, Luca is a great way to stay in the present moment. It's a great way. If you're just focused on Luca, you're just focusing on listening, understanding, asking clarifying questions, and then coming up with an action. Okay, you're not thinking about blasting back and yelling at her. You're not thinking about defending yourself. You're just thinking about listening. Like she might say something that you feel like you want to defend yourself against, but that puts you at a weaker position. So you don't need to do that. Don't defend yourself. Just go, okay, so let me understand. You're saying I did X, Y, and Z, and it made you feel this way. Like that's just a statement. Like you don't have to defend that. Right? You also don't have to apologize for it. Okay. But women just want to feel heard and understood. Positive perspective taking, right? So viewing situations from multiple perspectives reduces emotional intensity and helps maintain a balanced frame. So Luca's good for this too, right? If you're arguing with your wife, it forces you to almost have tactical empathy and sort of understand where she's coming from. You understand? Because a lot of times, like you're only thinking of it from your point of view, but you're not taking how she's seeing it into consideration. And when you understand her point of view, sometimes it makes sense, right? Sometimes your wife's bitching. She's got a fucking point sometimes, right? So it's good to take a step back and get some clarity around what her perspective is. Okay. And then support system. So leaning on trusted relationships can provide external reinforcement and stability during emotional challenges times. That's why I say get in the beer club. Okay. That's what it's for. Beer club is your place to, like, if you need a support system, beer club's your fucking place for that. Okay. Your girl's not it. Your girl, like women say that they want their man to come to them. They say that they want you to be more emotionally vulnerable. They think that they care about your problems. They even want to care about your problems, but their DNA just won't let them care about a man's problems. They expect you to handle your shit, and they expect you to be their rock. It doesn't work the other way around. She's not your rock. It doesn't work that way. So the thing is, though, that men do have problems, and we do need an outlet for it. The boys, going to the boys is your outlet for that. Your girl's not it. Okay. Just how it is, man. Like you might complain about it, and maybe it should be a different way. It's just That's red pill isn't about what should, it's about what is. Okay. Oh, but that's a girl. If she doesn't understand you, that's a girl. That's not a woman. That's bullshit. Okay, that's self delusion talking there. Okay, women are women. All right, they do what they do. They have this evolutionary programming. It's just how it is. All right. And then we have emotional intelligence and frame. Emotional intelligence. Well, women always say they want a man who's emotionally intelligent, right? I'm going to sneeze here. I can feel it. Whew, there we go. So emotional intelligence. Okay, so what emotional intelligence is not is being overly emotional, right? A lot of guys confuse the term. They think when a woman says, I want a man that's emotionally intelligent, that means to be more vulnerable and to open up and express your emotions. That's not what it means. It means having a better understanding of her emotional bullshit, because women are very emotional, but they have no emotional intelligence themselves, right? But they think they do because they're overly emotional creatures that are driven by emotions. Okay. So having emotional intelligence means understanding that her emotional reactions don't necessarily mean anything. Like she might say certain things, but that's not what you got to watch her actions, and just sort of understand where she's coming from. It's where that really funny video about it's not about the nail, right? Like a woman has a nail in her head and she's talking about how she feels and how her head hurts and how she just feels a lot of tension and pain. And the guy's like, yeah, well, there's a clear solution to that. And she's like, look, it's not about solutions. Why are you always trying to fix things? Okay. Having emotional intelligence, it makes you understand that she doesn't want the problem fixed. She just wants to talk about how she's feeling. And so you go, okay. So your head hurts. Okay. Yeah, I can understand where that comes from. Yeah, that would be painful to me, right? Like having some just understanding where she's coming from. It makes no sense to men, but it doesn't have to make sense. Okay. So emotional intelligence really is the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and influence one's emotions and the emotions of others. So just having an understanding of why you're feeling a certain way, having a little bit of emotional regulation, right? And being able to articulate, in a rational way, how you might be feeling, right? And being able to understand where she's coming from. That's more of really what we're looking for here. And so having that ability to understand emotions, where other people are coming from, that actually strengthens your frame. Okay. So Wraith talks about improving your emotional intelligence by practicing things like empathy, learning how to have empathy. So empathy development, self-reflection. We've talked about that a lot. Journaling is a great way to self-reflect. Meditation is a great way to self-reflect, right? And then just really trying to regulate those emotions. All that stuff improves emotional intelligence. So and one of the ways of doing that, right, is just as you're feeling an emotion, just from the third party observer, look at it almost like take a step back from yourself. We have this ability in our heads to maybe take a step back and look at ourselves and analyze the feeling. Why am I feeling this way? Right? Why am I so tense right now? Right? All that kind of stuff helps improve your emotional intelligence. It helps you get clarity around why you're feeling the way you're feeling. And then we have observing emotional intelligence in leaders. So individuals with high emotional intelligence often maintain a strong frame in leadership and interpersonal dynamics. So, and when they do that, it inspires those around them. I'm going to give kudos to this. So my day job, I have my boss, Joe. Man, Joe's got excellent emotional intelligence. He's got excellent emotional regulation. That guy is just calm under pressure. He's a pleasure to work with, and it's because of that. I think he's really done a lot of work on that kind of stuff. All right. Then the last concept here we have, and integrating emotional regulation into daily routines. And this is the big thing, right? You can't just like read a book like this and then put it on the shelf and think you got it, right? Like you've got to do the practices in this. A great book in the space that I highly recommend everyone read is No More Mr. Nice Guy. There's all sorts of breakthrough exercises in that book, but most people just read the book and put it down, and they don't do the breakthrough exercises that actually gets them out of being a nice guy. So start, like, read these books, right? Read these books, all right, and then do the exercises that we talk about in the books, okay? So regular self-reflection, mindfulness practices enhances emotional regulation, reinforces a positive frame. So all that stuff over time, that repetition is really going to strengthen this up, right? You can't go to the gym one day and expect to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, it takes constant work. You have to constantly go back to the gym. You got to constantly add more plates. You got to constantly add that progressive failure, like all that kind of stuff, right? It has to become a routine. If you want to strengthen your mental frame, it's got to become a routine. So routine techniques, right? So incorporate deep breathing, journaling, relaxation exercises into daily life. This all helps maintain emotional balance. And then utilizing tools. There's mindfulness apps you can use. All right. There's courses you can take. Raith the Outdoors, I think he's done several courses now for MLD, all on this kind of stuff. I think RP Thor has courses on this kind of stuff. Okay. And then support networks, right? Like the beer club. Get in the beer club. Great support network for stuff like this. So support networks are great. And then read these books. Read these books multiple times, okay? Ongoing learning. All that kind of stuff is going to help. It's all going to help this stuff, all right? All right, guys, that's all I got. This was a fun episode. I really enjoyed it. I don't know who's hosting Rule Zero tomorrow. And I don't know who's hosting Dragon Ship, but I'm not going to be on either of those shows. I'll be out of town with Nurse Chick. Again, she's got, one more fitness competition to do in Phoenix this year. So we're going to fly out for that. So right now, as you're watching this, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. And so tune into the podcast on Monday. We're going to be continuing the Book of Puck series on Mating Monday. We will be going over Puck's chapter on even more womanese. That's about a 20-minute long chapter. So that's a little bit of a longer one. So we're going to do that one. And we're going to talk about Puck's essay on why women mention other men, even if they're interested in you. So we're going to knock out 2 more chapters on that episode on Monday. So tune into that. Other than that, guys, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you guys sounded off in the live chat, I appreciate you. If you're watching the replay, drop a comment below, your favorite emoji. Doesn't matter. If you guys sent super chats, I appreciate you. That supports the show probably more than anything else. I will be sure to give you a shout out on social media. If you haven't done it yet, what are you waiting for? Become a member. The links are in the description. There's also a link below this video to join. But if you become a member, okay, you get access to all archived episodes. You get access to Tuesday's live stream where you can call in. If you're having a relationship issue, you can call in and talk to me directly. The cost is $2.99 a month, okay? You also get a free audio version of the Book of Puck narrated by my friend Jack Napier. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get my ebook, She's Made You Weak. It's about the 5 stages of the betaization process. It could save your marriage. Get my book, Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18, and get my other book, The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm. Also, go on Amazon and look for The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Power Frame Identity. And then AJ also has one out too. AJ from the Dragon Ship. It's The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Emotion. So that one's also out. And then Donovan Sharp has one coming out in a couple of weeks. So get that. Join the beer club, level up, get with other like-minded guys that are going to drag you up with them, man. They are going to make you level up too, okay, and hold you accountable. And then, like I said, if you are having relationship issues right now, you want some help with it, everything else you've tried hasn't worked, book a free call with me. Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com right now, and we'll get you squared away, okay? I'll, at the very least, give you some clarity on what's going on in your relationship and give you some options on how you can deal with it, All right. That's all I got. We will see you guys on Monday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.